Flashpoint Customs here to go over the process of how I support head sculpts for 3D printing, mainly in Lychee Slicer, but the same principles apply to other slices as well. Starting with orientation, there's a formula out there that gives you the optimal print angle depending on your screen's resolution. For my specific printer, it's recommended to orient prints at a 40-degree angle. This minimizes the stepping effect on prints and increases the overall sharpness of the print. So now that we have that angle, let's adjust the sculpt to match that. Since this sculpt imported face up, if we put 90 degrees, it'll make it right side up. And then all we need to do is subtract 40, and that will give us the right angle. If your print loads in with the head already facing forward, then all you have to do is put the negative whatever angle your screen requires, and that should get it to the right orientation. You can use this magic button in Lychee to add your auto supports, but I like to do it manually, so we'll focus on that. So first, we have to add the raft. I prefer the pixelate one because some other ones will create a little lip, which makes it easier for removing from the plate, but also creates unnecessary suction forces when printing, which can cause the print to fail and be ripped off by the supports. So I stick with the raft and I up the thickness to 0.9 millimeters just to give it body. Moving to the supports, these are the settings I use. I find these work the best when working with 112 scale head sculpts. Of course, you can adjust if printing bigger or other things, but the light setting is great for small hair or earpieces. I find they remove really easily once hit with a hairdryer and leave almost no trace of support scarring. The mediums are my go-to, a nice blend of strength and easy removal post-washing. And then heavies will leave some support scarring, so I tend to use them on parts of the sculpt that will rarely be seen. The auto support function, first select the type of the supports you want to support with. I tend to go with medium or light depending on how big the sculpt is, and then I select ultra because I'm extra and my thought process is the more supports the less likely there will be layer shifts. Generate the supports and then it should look something like this. Next, we're going to search for islands. Islands are any part of the print that is unsupported. If you run the search, Lychee will detect the islands and then you can automatically add supports to them. Now, Lychee doesn't always catch all of the islands, so you'll have to go through the initial layers to catch the islands missed. This will be a good time to change some of the medium supports to heavy ones. I tend to change the ones that touch the print first. This will give a solid foundation and help the print not get pulled off during the print process. So this part is the longest part of preparing a file for printing since you have to go layer by layer to find the islands that are unsupported. And so here I am just going through and looking at the islands and then creating some of the medium ones to be heavy ones and then adding the new supports for islands that Lychee didn't find. So as you can see here, the small one, I'll just go up a couple layers and then look underneath it and then add the support for it. Yeah, this could be a tedious process, but worth it so you don't run the risk of a failed print. Alright, so once the initial layers are good to go, I'll start work on the ears of the head sculpts because I find that the ears tend to fail the most as far as printing goes, usually because ears are like too thin and they will tend to warp as the print goes on and you can end up with like flat ears. So I'll put a medium support on the lowest part of the ear and then line the rest of the ear with lighter supports. The lighter and the medium supports remove easily once I hit them with some heat, and then they tend to leave minimal to no scarring. Then I go back and add sporadic heavy supports to prevent layer shifting as much as possible. If the support has too much give by being too thin, it can cause the print to move ever so slightly and create a line through the sculpt. I tend to over support because I want to have the cleanest prints possible, and also this is the part that I remove supports that are most visible part on the sculpt, aka the front of the face. So remove any automatic supports that Lychee puts on the chin or on the cheeks. I tend to remove those and just add a couple more heavies. Also, I tend to find that you need to support the inner part of the head sculpt with heavy supports. So I find doing this helps reduce the layer shift lines that you can get smack dab in the middle of the face. Nothing ruins a print like a line just straight through someone's nose or the eyes. So doing all of these steps won't guarantee that you have the cleanest prints, but it'll get you started in the right direction. So resin printing is very fickle. Sometimes you can print perfectly with the settings every single time, and then other times those same settings will be a complete failure. These are the settings I use for my specific resin and printer to give you an idea of just what I'm working with. My prints usually take like 6 hours for a 1/12 scale head, but I'm fine with that because I print overnight, and the prints usually come out crispy. I hope this helps. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm always willing to answer what I can. Thanks.